Hi everyone, thanks for watching our video blog, Truth Talk. I want to take just a few minutes with you today to talk to you about a story found in Ezra chapter 10. It's a real fascinating story about Ezra, who had been sent back to aid in the rebuilding of Jerusalem. And he gets back, and when he sees what's going on with the people, he realizes that over the past however many years they've been spent intermarrying and not following the laws that God had set up for them, and have created quite a mess. And Ezra is now given the responsibility of helping rectify that situation, of helping get the people back on track, so to speak. And as you might imagine, it's quite an overwhelming task, and Ezra is feeling the strain and the stress of being charged with taking on that responsibility. There's a real interesting short conversation that takes place in Ezra chapter 10 between Ezra and Shechaniah, who we really know very little about. But I want to read just part of that for you, and then make a couple of points about that. In Ezra chapter 10, starting in verse 2, it says, "And Shechaniah the son of Jehiel, one of the sons of Elam, spoke up and said to Ezra, 'We have trespassed against our God, and have taken pagan wives from the peoples of the land. Yet now there is hope in Israel in spite of this. Now therefore let us make a covenant with our God to put away all these wives, and those who have been born to them, according to the advice of my master, and those who tremble at the commandment of our God, and let it be done according to the law.'" Verse 4 is what I really want us to focus in. It says, "Arise, for this matter is your responsibility. We also are with you. Be of good courage and do it." It's a situation here where Ezra is visibly struggling with the task at hand. And Shechaniah comes up to him, and he does three things that I think are really interesting here. One, he acknowledges the sin that's taken place. There's no hiding it. There's no getting around that. Sin has taken place, and there's quite a mess that needs to be cleaned up. And he acknowledges the fact in verse 4 that, Ezra, this is your responsibility. This is what God has sent you here to do. It's your responsibility to take care of this. But he doesn't just leave it at that. He follows that up by saying, "We also are with you." The people were ready to change. They recognized that they needed to change, and they were ready to do so. And finally, he tells him, "Be of good courage and do it." So I think when I read this is a good example for me when I'm faced with difficult situations, or I'm struggling with a temptation, or whatever the situation may be that's just causing me a great deal of stress, anxiety, discomfort, whatever it might be. I need to remember what Shechaniah said here. First and foremost, if I'm in a tough situation, I have to acknowledge the fact that it's my responsibility to deal with that. I don't get to simply pass the buck. I don't get to simply pass off my problems and let somebody else deal with them. If I'm the one in charge of taking care of this situation, whether it's in my family, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's something with the church, I have to recognize that I have a responsibility to those people, to myself, or to God to deal with that situation. But secondly, and this is the one that I think is really, really important, far too often when we realize that we're the responsible party in all of this that has to deal with it, we isolate ourselves. We think, if I'm the one that has to deal with it, then I'm the only one that can deal with it. And we isolate ourselves, and all of a sudden, all of the stress and all of the anxiety is on our shoulders alone. And Shechaniah says to Ezra here, "We also are with you." We need to recognize that God has given us a support system. Whether it's our family or friends, our brothers and sisters at church, we have a support system that God has given to us. We aren't alone. Don't isolate yourself when you're faced with a difficult situation. And finally, be of good courage and do it. No problem is going to be solved if we simply sit around and think about it all the time. There comes a time where we simply have to do it. We simply have to take action and deal with the situation that's facing us. So if you find yourself dealing with a temptation, you find yourself dealing with trouble in your personal life, or whatever it may be, remember these three things. One, acknowledge the situation. Don't hide from it. Acknowledge it. Two, recognize that you have a support system. Lean on those people. Let them help you. And finally, take the action needed to fix the situation. Be of good courage and do it.